Oh my gosh, this thing is
All right.
really
so,
funny.
real quick.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Explicit, explicit, explicit.
Young Don animations back, despite Young Don deconverting from the faith.
For now.
For now. He is now opening up about some of his experiences going through all the different theological camps. And he's being honest. I told him that you should share this stuff. My biggest thing was like go back to making animations.
Dude, the
while he was trying to
animations
be
are so good.
they're so good. So while he was being attempting to be a Christian YouTuber and a teacher and all that kind of stuff, like go back to the animations, go back to the humor.
Just make them cleaner.
Make him cleaner. And he's back. And this video is called "I Got Circumcised as an Adult." There's a little bit of insight I want to give here. And but I haven't seen it.
There is a learning lesson for sure.
I don't have that many regrets in my life, but if I could go back in time and stop myself from doing a few things, for sure, one of them would be cutting the tip of my dick off. Ah, yes. After being gone for about 3 years, I'm sure this was the kind of story you thought I'd make my big comeback with. But yes, about 2 years ago, 2023, as a fully grown adult man with children, I decided to get circumcised. Now, why would a fully grown adult man with children decide to do something so insane? Was it a medical necessity? Nope. Ma Johnson was working just fine. Was it cosmetic? Was I just finally tired of being Team Turtleneck and wanted to permanently drop the top of my In fact, I can now speak from experience. It's a downgrade. Personally, I prefer the convertible model, which makes sense. After all, we are all born with a hoodie for a reason. So why, Don? Why did you do this to yourself? For the same reason dudes have been doing crazy since the beginning of human civilization.
Oh my
In
God.
the name of God.
All right, that's
All
good.
right.
So hilarious,
Yeah. Vulgar, obviously.
vulgar, but it gives insight into his paradigm.
It really does.
And I'll share my insights afterwards.
But so the people at this Jewish church, they convinced me into thinking we're still under the old rules. And to be fair, they don't know any better, right? They believe this stuff. But you know, that's like the thing with Christianity. There's a lot of different opinions on what the truth is, but most people have good intentions. Nonetheless, they told me I had to get circumcised, right? Like they were like, okay, look, God might give you a pass, but we don't know. I wouldn't risk it, to be honest. And so I was like, dang, well, I don't want to risk it. And I had the money. I was living in Houston at the time, and they had a clinic not too far from where I lived with pretty good
Adult circumcision.
reviews for adult circumcision.
The stars are the Israel.
my
The Jewish
gosh.
stars.
Decisions. So I was like, well, what am I going to tell God if I died uncircumcised? And he asks me why I didn't do it. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go do this. So I call him up to make the appointment, and it was so casual. It was too easy, bro. Like they should have a waiting period, you know, so that you could like think about it some more. But they were like, we can get you in on Thursday. I was like, it's Tuesday. That's so soon. But hey,
Okay. This is hilarious.
He's saying
Hey.
it needs to be a cool down period, like buying a firearm in California.
Yeah, for real. Don, I love that you're back to making these videos.
Oh.
I'm bummed that you're struggling. You're not a Christian. You're struggling with your faith. I love that you're back to make. Okay, so here's the
We
thing.
can get you in on
Don,
Thursday. It's Tuesday.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah.
Don, my brother, we connected you with Rabbi Eduardo.
Come on.
He tried to talk you off the ledge.
Come on.
I offered to connect you with Dr. Michael Brown.
Come
To
on.
try and talk you off the ledge.
Come on.
This did not have to happen.
Oh, man.
We tried to get you connected with like actual Jewish synagogues. This did not have to happen. Okay. So he got sucked into following the law. And the hilarious part
For a
about
few
this,
months.
for a few months, the hilarious part about this is there's an entire book in the Bible written about this called the Book of Galatians. Grown men coming to faith that were Gentiles, and then the Judaizers coming to them, telling them, you got to get circumcised. I tried to go over this with him on the phone.
Come on.
We tried. Try to get you connected with a rabbi. So, though your motives were sincere,
Yeah.
this did not have to happen, my brother.
Yeah.
This did not have to happen. It led to a hilarious video. But yeah, Acts 15. We tried to give him an explanation for this. I remember vividly sitting on the phone with him, talking about Acts 15 and the first ever ecumenical council, the first ever council in Jerusalem,
Yep.
and how they said the Gentile believers did not have to follow the law except to, avoid sexual immorality and I think a couple other things, not eating flesh with animals or something like that. And so, and I even used the example of like, hey, like, do you know the distinguishing markers between Armenians, who are the oldest Christian nation,
Come on.
and everyone, like, and the country I grew up in is like Armenians have historically been uncircumcised.
Intact.
Yes, because from in this part of the world, those are distinguishing factors of people who are culturally Christian and brought up in Christian in Christian culture and Christian church, and folks who aren't. So this idea is just, it's not in church history, it's not in the scriptures. So we really tried.
Yeah.
Like we really tried. So the fact, like he's telling a story, and I think he was sincere in all this. Like
For sure.
I think he was sincere. But there were people that tried to walk him off the ledge. And I'm glad that he's telling this story, because the more he's going to tell, I hope he does the cult video, because that's hilarious. But the more he tells these stories, the more I think people will look and kind of be like, oh,
okay.
Interesting information that you're now offering up to us.
If I'm gonna do it, I might as well just do it, right? What's the holdup? So I was like, all right, Thursday works for me. I had to pay a deposit of like $500 so that I wouldn't flake. I imagine a lot of dudes would flake if it wasn't for that. The whole thing cost like $2,500, bro. And you can't use insurance either. It has to be cash. But can you put a price on not burning in hell forever? Got to do what you got to do. So
I don't even know
if that's their position.
I don't even know if that's their position. Like, I don't even know if the law followers
He's
even
probably
hold
being
that
a bit
position.
hyperbolic for
I
the
think he's probably being
animation.
hyperbolic for that measure.
You know.
But that's his point. There's so many different opinions. He didn't know what was real. But this is the thing. The Occupy Till I Come 60-day devotional is back in stock. This is taking you through the entire narrative of the scriptures in 60 days with custom daily devotional prompts. So what you're doing is you're spending 35 days in the Old Testament, 25 days in the New Testament, going over all the major stories. There's additional reading for you to go deeper if you want to go deeper on the stories. And you can get them right now bundled up with a virtual ticket to our Bless God Summit. Bless God Summit is coming up March 27th, 28th, 29th in beautiful Southern California. My favorite podcasters, apologists, pastors, preachers, entrepreneurs, all in the same room. Day 1, we're talking about apologetics. Day 2, we're talking about virtue. Day 3, we're going out into the marketplace and being the hands and feet of Jesus. This is going to be a wonderful event. And what you could do is you could actually get the devotional bundled with the virtual ticket for only $65. So go to blessgodshop.com, get yourself a 60-day devotional. I promise you the feedback on these has been crazy. You will love it. Designed by my guy, Josh Nadeau from Sword and Pencil. The beautiful artwork, okay? So go to blessgod.shop, get yours now, okay? Mean the world to me. If people within a stream, Messianic Christians, people who identify with the law and they still follow it in a ecclesial sense, like Rabbi Eduardo, I've been to his Christian Jewish church, are telling you, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. I think that should give you the information that you need.
They're the only ones that do it, and even they are saying you don't have to do it.
Then I tell my wife, and she was not happy. Right? In fact, she cried. She thought it was a terrible idea. She was completely against it.
Oh,
She thought it was
sad.
too quick of a decision. It was too extreme. Why can't I wait a few months? Maybe I'll learn something new and realize I don't need to do it. And then I'll.
That's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. So
The wisdom of your spouse.
yeah, listen
was
to your
like,
wife, guys.
Of course. This is the same thing Eve did to Adam. And look how that turned out,
no.
right? And if there is anything that
Oh,
the Bible
no.
is very clear about, is that you should never listen to a woman. Especially when she's trying
The
to tell
Bible
you.
is not clear about that.
Yeah,
Don,
that's-
stop.
That's
Stop
ridiculous.
it. Go ahead.
It's ridiculous.
to do the opposite of what God says. Now, it turns out God would change his mind on this with the Jesus patch, but I didn't understand that.
Is it the Jesus patch?
the time.
Hold on,
Bible
what is this?
That's-
is that a Jesus?
would change his mind on this with the Jesus patch, but
This is Steam. You can download like a patch for a video game.
Yo, that's hilarious.
I didn't understand that at the time. The Bible is a very thick book and it's very confusing, and even the Bible admits to it being confusing. So that's not me taking a shot or anything.
Well, that's
so in my mind,
that's Peter writing about Paul's teaching sometimes being confusing.
Yeah.
That's not the Bible is confusing. I think anyone that reads the Bible in a translation they can understand will generally walk away with, I don't need to get circumcised.
Was
I
he
think
reading
that's
King
fair.
James?
He was also in his King James phase
Okay.
at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is confusing.
I guess it is confusing if you're reading.
I made up and not allowing my evil Jezebel wife to deceive me into thinking that I was making a rash decision, and that if God is, like a loving and patient God, he wouldn't mind me taking more time to work through this stuff before making such an expensive and permanent decision. Because as every Christian knows, thinking through things is exactly what Satan wants you to do. That's called leaning on your own understanding.
No, Don. No, Don.
That's Reddit. That's the Reddit atheist in him.
That's the
coming out.
Reddit atheist. No, Don. God gave us a mind and reason for a reason, pun intended. The Wesleyan quadrilateral, and I don't know if he ever made it to that part in the, but there's a thing called a Wesleyan quadrilateral that talks about scripture, tradition, reason, experience. These things all are supposed to play together to give us a robust understanding of these things.
Yeah.
So I committed to going through with it anyway. Well, Thursday came around, and reluctantly, she starts to support me. And she's always done that, right? Sometimes she doesn't agree with my decisions. Sometimes she even puts up a fight. But eventually, she has always supported me at the end, even when I was wrong or was making a decision that wasn't in our best interest. And for that, I will never deserve this woman. So I went to the place, right? They had me put some numbing cream on my snickerdoodle.
This is so outlandish to me.
Yeah.
Everything about this. And so I didn't have a conversation with him about this. He didn't tell me this while he was going through it. But I definitely tried to connect him with Rabbi Eduardo, who did have a conversation with him about this.
With local anesthesia, which I didn't feel at all. I shot off one last prayer, and then Doc got to work. It didn't take long, about 45 minutes for the whole procedure, and I didn't feel a thing. They wrapped it up in gauze, the doctor wrote me a prescription for pain meds, and then sent me on my way. I was shocked how good I felt. For one, the doctor said the surgery went perfectly, and here I am 2 years later and can confidently say that it did in fact go very well, based on the results. I also felt like I pleased God. No more snorkel, which at the time I thought was really bothering him. But lastly, I felt no pain. I stopped at the pharmacy and picked up the pain meds.
Yeah.
He prescribed me a bottle of Oxys, which, that's the good right? Those are the kinds of pills that start rap careers, if you know what I'm saying. They're also the kinds of pills that end rap careers. And I think to myself, you know what? I don't need these pills.
Oh, no.
I have Jesus. If God wanted me to get circumcised, he's also going to give me the strength to get through whatever pain the circumcision is going to cause. I don't need the devil's medicine. And so I flush him down the toilet. Well, turns out that was a mistake. So the day continued, and with time, it started to ache a little bit.
No!
But on a scale of 1 to 10, at worst, it was like a 3. Fast forward to bedtime, and my wife and I go to sleep. And I don't know how long I was asleep for, but at some point in the middle of the night, I am awoken with the fire of 1,000 suns on my Johnson. And it wakes up my wife. And she's like, oh my God, what's happening? Are you okay? I'm like, no, my dick's gonna explode. And I honestly thought that might happen. Like, what if the stitches were too tight, right? I didn't tell the doctor that I was a grower and not a shower. What if he didn't put enough slack in it? But fortunately, it didn't explode, right? My wife got me an ice pack, and that did calm things down. Once it was thoroughly chilled and back to its original state, I was able to fall asleep again, only for that to happen all over again, several times, every night, for like a week straight. It was torture of the sorts I had never experienced before. By the third day, I called the doctor's office and tried to explain to them how I threw away the pain pills because I thought I didn't need them. And so I was wondering if I could get another prescription. But they didn't believe me. They must have thought I sold him or was an addict or whatever. And so they didn't write another prescription. And so I had to thug it out on just Tylenol, just over-the-counter pain meds, which did nothing. But I got through it. Yeah, it was hard. No pun intended. But I got through it. And after a couple of months, it was fully healed and ready to go. And since then, I've had one more kid, a son. So that's 2 girls, 1 boy, all under 3, just so you're all caught up. No complaints from the wife. And so, all's well that ends well.
So scroll down. This is the first time he's uploaded to this channel in years.
Yeah.
Don remembered his password. Insane title for first video back. But it did well, I would say. It did 214,000 views in 4 days. It's great.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that is a crazy story.
That's a great story. Props to Don for talking about it, being vulnerable about it. I love you, man. Praying for you. I'm glad he's talking about this stuff, though.
Go low and slow, right?
Go slow. Go low, slow. Slow your roll. If you're new to the faith, slow down.
Crockpot that faith.
Crockpot. We don't need microwave Christians. we want and get into church.
Yeah.
Get around humans like me and Zach are humans together. Get around humans. Let them tell you don't got to cut your penis.
Yeah.
Right?
I think if you know that if you believe Jesus died and rose for your sins, you accept him as your Lord and Savior, and you are now Christian, and you get all the benefits,
Where are you going with this?
You can take your time with the theologies to figure out where you're going to land. The problem is when you kind of go for these different camps that are saying, no, this is the way. This other one's a heretic. This one's
If
heresy.
everyone's a heresy and a heretic, that's a.
So then it causes someone like a Don to like speed run and be like, well, I need the answers because what if I don't have the right answers and I go to hell, but because I didn't read enough of the book or I didn't talk to the right people. And so it's like, okay, there's the baseline. You're in. The rest of it is like open-handed doctrines that you can kind of figure out for yourself. Go slow.
Yeah.
So you don't trim it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad he's back to making comedy and visualizations. So props to Young Don. Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to comment below and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out this other video that YouTube seems to be recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.